Back to school. Well, the Valley Today's Brian Sherrod joins us live outside of an elementary school with a breakdown. Good morning, Brian.
And good morning, Jordan and Lisa. I'm outside of Freedom Elementary School, and for right now it's pretty quiet, but in the next 45 minutes you'll see these cars line up right behind me to get their kids ready to go into school. Now, many of these kids have not been in school since March because of this pandemic, and that means they have not been in a classroom in 6 months. Now, even though they're going back to school, it's not going to be a normal type setting. They're going to start in a very unique way, and of course I'm going to break down to explain to you guys what to expect this morning. The first day of school is only for students with the last name letters L through Z. In West Fargo Public School Systems, 11,000 students are being served by 3,000 staff members in 27 facilities. Now imagine the student number pretty much being cut down by half since the day is determined by their last name. Staff also saying we should receive the actual enrollment numbers by the beginning of next week. To make this day much easier, a representative tells me that each school always communicates their drop-off procedures with the parents and guardians before starting the school year. Now, if you're still confused about getting yourself ready when it comes to the back-to-school program or what you're supposed to do when it comes to dropping your kids off, go on the school's website on their About Us page and go to morning and afternoon procedures. They're pretty well laid out, so it could make sense the moment you read it. You know, even though the coronavirus is still going on, the schedules are still going to stay the same in the morning. And to break down, to make it make a little more sense, you know, with me and Jordan, our last names is S, so we would have been the ones starting school today. Now with Lisa, her last name's a B, so she would start school on Tuesday. So literally, the school day is dependent by your last name, and that's how you would determine when you would actually start school. So it's pretty simple when you explain it that way.
Yeah, it makes sense. But all school districts are a little bit different. I know not everyone went back to school when Fargo started yesterday. Some more Fargo students have their first day today. But I was mentioning to you in the break, I'm excited for my daughter because I've been in the classrooms in West Fargo and they're smaller because they only have half the class in the classroom at the time.
So more one-on-one time with the teacher, which is a good thing while they're there. And they will release their enrollment next week, West Fargo, and we'll have that for you when it's released. But first day enrollment in Fargo was lower than expected. There were 11,335 students who showed up for kindergarten through grade 12 yesterday.
School leaders say the lower numbers could be due to COVID-19 and schools starting in the hybrid model. Kindergarten is also not a required attendance grade in North Dakota. Some Fargo parents are mad about a bus stop near an elementary school that they say is too close to potential trouble. It's located about 250 feet away from a building which houses 6 high-risk sex offenders. Francis Clothier, Ryan Corman, Richard Haugen, Randy Klugman, Roger McAvoy, and Jude Wolski are all lifetime registrants listed at the same address and considered most likely to reoffend.
5 of these men have been convicted of sex crimes against children. Fargo Public Schools has confirmed that they have heard the concerns from parents, but they're not able to move the bus stop at this time. One parent who lives right down the street from that area says the bus stop, it needs to be moved, and that other parents need to voice their concerns. The school district has offered some alternate bus stops and says that their drivers are trained to be on alert for suspicious activity. A Fargo North High School student is now home recovering this morning after the first day of class yesterday when they tested positive for COVID-19. School officials say they know who that student is and they're gathering a list of close contacts to notify families. Those close contacts will then have to quarantine. That includes anyone who was within 6 feet of that person for longer than 15 minutes.
Just 1 week into their school year, and an entire class at a North Dakota elementary school is under quarantine. This after one of the students tested positive for coronavirus. In a letter dated August 30th, the superintendent at Thompson Public Schools says students will not return to the classroom until September 14th. Those 24 kindergarten students will do distance learning until then.
Just about 8 minutes before the top of the hour, let's get a check of that first day of school forecast for West Fargo kids with meteorologist Lisa Green. Good morning.
Good morning. It's looking good as far as avoiding that rain. You don't have to worry about an umbrella or rain gear here this morning. That system has since moved on, but we're still dealing with the impacts of it with some wind and cooler temperatures coming today. But so far looking good. You can see in the background of our temperature map here, we're looking at some clearing skies in Fargo, mostly sunny skies here now that the sun is up, still hiding behind that little cloud deck there. 54 in Fargo, 51 in Grand Forks, and we're in the 50s across much of the region, still under the clouds in the east, but it's still breezy too. We're looking at some gusts above 30 miles per hour. Jamestown is at 30, so is Devils Lake, and Thief River Falls 38 miles per hour, your gust right now. So this is something that's going to stick with us through the day. So breezy weather and cooler, that's definitely going to be the factor for you for today as you're planning your outfit. Here's a look at your conditions as we head into the day. We're going to see those clouds in the east move on eventually. There might be a couple of sprinkles that develop under them, but overall things are really quieting for us after that blast of weather that moved through last night. You could see all these storm reports. Some of these are actually from the intense wind we just had, but in addition to that, there are some places that got hit hard by the storms that moved through. And this is one of the photos our viewers sent us in the Shooting Star Casino parking lot in Monoman. Tammy grabbed an incredible photo of that shelf cloud moving in. That's usually a sign of some very strong winds, and we know we have that. And then right at that moment, a lightning bolt there in the clouds. So if you've got some photos from the storms recently, you could share them with us at valleynewslive.com. Here's a look at your bus stop planner. Thankfully, a different story this morning. Again, it's going to be quieter, mostly sunny this morning out at the bus stop. Temperatures into the 50s to start. And then heading home from school, we're going to have to deal with that wind still, sunshine, and check out this high, or our temperature around 3 o'clock, I should say. We're looking at some mid-60s, and that is it. So it's going to feel a lot cooler than yesterday, a good 10 to 15 degrees cooler in some areas. A high of 69 at the 5 o'clock hour, typically when we see our warmest temperatures this time of year. And then Friday, we try to warm things up a little bit. Saturday looks like a fantastic day for the holiday weekend. But after that, some spotty chances, isolated light rain chances Sunday and into Labor Day, and much cooler too. And we stay that way next week.
Big cool down. All right. Thank you, Lisa. A Minnesota man who attended this year's Sturgis motorcycle rally has now died of COVID-19 about 3 weeks after the event. It's the first death that health officials believe is linked to that rally, which drew 250,000 people to that western South Dakota town.
Minnesota health officials say the victim was in his 60s and had underlying health problems. At least 290 people in 12 states have tested positive for the coronavirus since attending the rally. This year's Sturgis motorcycle rally went forward despite coronavirus fears. Public health departments, which have struggled for months to test and trace everyone exposed to COVID, are now being told to prepare to distribute COVID-19 vaccines as early as November 1st.
The Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is telling health departments across the country to draft vaccination plans by October 1st to coincide with the earliest possible release of a COVID-19 vaccine. But health departments that have been underfunded for decades say they currently lack the staff, the money, and the tools to educate people about vaccines and then get them out, administer them, and track the doses to some 330 million people.
Here are the latest COVID numbers. In North Dakota, there are 265 new cases, along with 3 new deaths in the state. The death toll is at 148. Positivity rate is 4.58%.
In Minnesota, the Department of Health is reporting 761 new cases, along with 7 new deaths linked to the illness. In total, more than 1,800 deaths have been attributed to the virus. The lawyer for a Marine veteran says that his client has suffered brain damage after being assaulted by a Minnesota deputy. Last week, Cameron Bowden was awarded $1.6 million from the state of Minnesota after filing a lawsuit against the Otter Tail County Sheriff's Office.
Investigators say in December of 2018, deputies responded to a bar fight in Parkers Prairie. When they arrived at Bowden's home, there was a struggle with the deputy and Bowden was punched.
I was afraid I was going to get hit.
Okay.
So,
And then, so with that going on, what do you do?
so I hit him twice.
And the Otter Tail County Sheriff's Office tells us there is still a pending criminal case against Bowden for the actions of that night back in 2018.
A man is accused of starting a fire outside a popular downtown Fargo bar that firefighters say was dangerously close to the building. They were called to Cowboy Jack's bar Saturday morning about a fire. Court
documents say a patio umbrella was on fire and the suspect held onto that umbrella for some time to make sure that it was burning. Inspectors say because that table was close to the building, the bar could have been destroyed if that fire hadn't been put out quickly. This guy right here, 33-year-old Michael Williams, is now accused of criminal mischief and endangering by fire. That fire caused more than $1,000 in damages. The community is rallying behind a former Ben Franklin Middle School assistant principal by raising thousands of dollars to show their support during a difficult time. On May 26, Oak Riley fractured his neck and injured his spinal column in a bad fall. It left him with limited movement in his arms and hands, and he's now paralyzed below his ribs.
He has a long road to recovery at the Craig Rehabilitation Center in Colorado. But after touching the lives of thousands of students and staff during more than 2 decades at Ben Franklin, now it's their turn to show their support for him. And they have, in a big way. Since the accident, more than $14,000 have been donated.
He has, I believe, done more in his rehab, his whole experience, than any of the medical people could ever have imagined.
There is a Lend a Hand Up page where you can show your support. We do have a link to that on this story on the VNL News app.
West Fargo Public Schools will be serving free meals to all of its students. The district received a waiver from the U.S. Department of Agriculture that will last through December. Meals will be handed out starting next Wednesday and Friday. Students in virtual classes can also pick up meal boxes every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to noon at Cheney, Liberty, and Heritage Middle Schools. To get free meals, parents must fill out an order form. You can find that on our website, valleynewslive.com.
The West Fargo Eats Pop-Up Pantry is distributing contact-free food every Friday this month. Pickup is from 1 to 3 in the afternoon at the Lutheran Church of the Cross parking lot. That's just off of 16th Street East. Anyone in need of food is welcome to drive up or walk up to that pantry. It's a first-come, first-served basis. Minnesota's Boundary Waters canoe area is not the place that you want to get lost. So imagine how relieved this man was when a State Patrol helicopter pilot finally spotted him. You see, he had to use a campfire to catch the pilot's attention early Tuesday morning. The pilot was using night vision technology to see better after dark.
Yeah, that's cool video, but a scary situation. The man had been hunting with a buddy but got separated. The rescue came more than 9 hours later. The chopper kept a close eye on the man while ground crews hiked in to bring him to safety.
Let's see how people are now. Let's get the answer, rather, to our question of the morning on Facebook. That question, about 2/3 of all children like this.
Which is good news as we're doing back to school stories again today. The answer? They like to go to school, and I think kids are missing school, so that's a good thing.
Yes, very excited when they can go back full-time 5 days a week. But thank you for joining us here. The Today Show and CBS This Morning are just about to start. Otherwise, have a great day of school, everyone.